So here they are. Other rhetorical devices exist, but here are some that you can see in my speech. Tricks that I'm using. How many can you find? You can write on the speech. I want you to mark them. Take a moment. Look through the speech. See how many of these 5 rhetorical devices you can find me actually doing. I'm going to call on students randomly in just a moment. So try to find some, and we'll see how well you do. Okay, let's see. Sarah, what you got? No, this is not a dumb one. Which one?
In the third paragraph,
Uh-huh.
when you start the sentence with because. I don't know what it would mean.
Oh, true. Well, Sarah, let me address, this is something unrelated, but let me address it very quickly. You can begin a sentence with because. Your elementary teachers told you not to, simply because 99 out of 100 elementary school sentences that begin with because are fragments. This is not a fragment. Okay. So, Sarah, more mature adult writers do begin sentences with because. It's not out of the ordinary. It's just not elementary school. Go ahead, Josiah.
From the end of the 4th paragraph,
Yeah.
and then to the 5th paragraph,
Yeah.
you kind of, it carves nearly every organ in the body. You go to a different paragraph, and you say, and.
Oh, and of course, these effects are not limited to smokers. So you're thinking that that's a little bit informal, but do you see? No, it's not a shift in voice because I'm still speaking in third person. Yeah, Shelby.
In the last sentence of the last paragraph, it says, not only should we do this, but we must. That is a call to action.
Thank you very much. It's a call to action in the last sentence. I want to end my sentence with a call to action, and that word must is very insistent and powerful. Must. I don't say should. Exactly. I say it's absolutely necessary, but the word must is single syllable, powerful, direct. That's my final word. That's intentional that that's my final word. Jake.
In the beginning of the 3rd paragraph, what do these 2 concepts share in common? I on the day, and when I'm supposed to be speaking without smoking, it's a rhetorical question.
Not just a rhetorical question, but 2 rhetorical questions back to back. So notice my strategy there, Jake, you're correct. At the beginning of the 3rd paragraph, you have 2 rhetorical questions. One of the best ways to give a speech is to repeat yourself every once in a while to make sure that people are clear on exactly what you're saying. So take a look at those 2 rhetorical questions. I give you a question, and then I basically give you the question again, just expand it a little bit. So I ask the question twice, adding to the effect of the rhetorical question and making sure that my audience is very clear. What else do you find? Yeah, Connor.
You should always, when you say, throughout the first 2 paragraphs, you're in 3rd person,
Mm-hmm.
but then in the 3rd, you go to first, and you say, why on a day when I'm supposed to speak to you, would be the 2nd person.
That's correct.
Back to first.
So my first 2 paragraphs are pretty straightforward because they're 3rd person, and I've decided, well, I want to strike a personal tone. So at the beginning of my 3rd, not only do I ask the rhetorical questions, but I also shift voice, creating engagement with my audience. What else? Any appeals to emotion? What makes you feel something? When do you feel something the most, and what do you feel the most? Josiah.
Smoking is killing men and women, young and old.
Okay, men and women, young and old, that makes me feel horror, sadness, despair, anger, but even more than that.
Well, sometimes, like some kids' parents smoke, so it probably makes them scared of being around it.
Find the sentence where you've got that. Find the sentence where I really try to amplify that emotional effect. Jasmine, where is it?
I just had it because
I know.
it was said it's about like more terrorists, but it's more than.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's at the second to last sentence. This has killed more than any terrorist attack ever could.
Oh my goodness.
That's true. But that's different from where Shelby's going. But you're correct that we're talking about horror and shock because you're right. At a certain point, How many Americans have terrorists killed? What, 3,500, something like that, if we don't count the deaths through military action. And we're talking about how many deaths per year from cigarettes. So there's some emotion right there toward the end. Shelby, what you got?
Where it says it causes, well, at the beginning of it, it tells you how secondhand smoke and all the percentage and how it causes lung cancer, but then it says it causes an estimated 46,000 heart diseases deaths and 3,400 lung diseases deaths among adults.
Okay, that's true. However, here's my point.
Oh, no, there's secondhand stuff. That's what it is.
Right, but here's the point. If you want to make somebody feel sad, horrified, kill an adult. If you want to make them feel sickened and horrified and shocked, kill a child. What word did I use? What single word, Sarah, did I use to amplify the emotional impact? Correct. Innocent. Read the sentence. Worst of all, secondhand smoke produces 150,000 to 300,000 new cases of bronchitis and pneumonia in children, leading to 7,500 to 15,000 hospitalizations annually in innocent children who never have a chance or a choice on whether to smoke. The innocent and never have a choice amplifies the emotional impact. It's also at the end of the paragraph. I've saved at the end of the paragraph my greatest point of emotional intensity. And Shelby, you're correct. Deaths are horrifying, and the statistics that I throw out there are awful. However, the one with the greatest impact is the one that affects children. Always. If you want to show an impact that horrifies and shocks your audience and really spurs the call to action, then show that impact on somebody who's innocent. And there's nobody more innocent than a child. We can blame adults for their irresponsible behavior. We don't blame children for something that happens to them outside of their control. And it makes us angrier. Thus, it adds some power. So we've got appeals to emotion, call to action, shifting voice, rhetorical question. My attention-grabbing device is not exactly the most exciting one in the world, but what's my strategy with the first two paragraphs? How so, Josiah? How does it give you something to relate to?
It relates to how that your purpose is good and
Well, true, but I mean, why did I write the first two paragraphs in that way? Why do I think that that'll work for my audience? Shelby?
It kind of like grabs your attention about like the statistics of how something just like smoking is more like
No,
a
no, no.
virus.
The first couple paragraphs. Smoking is not mentioned until paragraph 3.
Yep.
Robbie?
it shows that it say that people die a lot from this, but smoking is worse.
I haven't said smoking in the first two paragraphs.
Oh, the impact of specific like health conditions.
True, but why would those two examples work pretty well for a regular audience, Sarah?
Because they were both pretty shocking.
There you go. High-profile stuff that you know and can relate to. Everyone heard about the H1N1 virus, especially students in schools. You all heard about it because you were hoping that we would have some sort of case and our school would be closed down. And you're thinking, man, I'm paying attention to this swine flu thing because that might get me some extra sleep. Michelle Obama's new initiative on childhood obesity is extremely prominent in the media. That's her issue. That's big. These are not obscure. They're familiar. The audience knows what I'm talking about, so they're not lost. And that's important. More to come later.